In the previous video, we talked about how you can put a fraction into simplest form. And remember, there's a couple of vocab words that we use. We use both factor and greatest common factor. We know that factors are two numbers we multiply together to get a product or the answer to a multiplication number or multiplication problem. And we know that the greatest common factor is two factors that both numbers have in common, but it's also the largest number that both numbers have in common. So what we're going to do now is visually, I kind of want to show you that simplest form doesn't change the size of the piece of pie or the size of the fraction. It just changes the numbers we use. So right here, you can see the fraction that I have. The denominator is 10, which means that my cake or my pie would be cut into 10 slices. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my numerator is going to be 6. My denominator is 10. So my fraction is 6/10 or 6 out of 10. So if I cut a piece of pizza into 10 slices, I would get 6 of them. Now remember, we said there has to be an easier way. Instead of cutting 10 slices and me taking over half of them, why don't I just cut bigger pieces but less of them and get less pieces but the same size? So we're going to figure out how can I find the simplest form of 6/10. First, I need to take both numbers, 6 and 10, and I need to list their factors. Obviously, we know 1 times 6 and 1 times 10. For 6, I also have 2 times 3, and for 10, I have 2 times 5. Now, in this case, we only have one factor that they have in common. It's the 2. So not only this is the only factor, but it's also the greatest common factor. Now remember, whenever we simplify, we take our fraction, 6 over 10, and I know you know this, but in fractions, every time we do something to the top, such as divide by 2, we also have to do the same to the bottom. Now, the reason that I'm dividing by 2 is that's the greatest factor that they both have in common. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Remember, you can always check your answer. 3 times 2 is 6. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. I can always look right here to check my work. 5 times 2 is 10. So what I'm saying is the simplest form of 6/10 is 3/5. So now what I need to do is I need to look at my fraction tiles that are the 1/5. My denominator is 5 and my numerator is 3, so that tells me I need 3 of them. 2/5 and 3/5. If you look at our fraction bars, you can see that 6/10 and 3/5 are the exact same size. But wouldn't it be much easier to cut a pizza into 5 slices and give myself 3 of them than to cut them into 10 tiny slices and give myself 6 of them? So remember, simplest form is all about making things simpler.